We are now almost a week removed from Iran's unprecedented attack on Israel, the first attack ever directly from Iran on Israel. Israel has yet to retaliate and is facing immense international pressure to not strike back over fears of starting a regional war. The hypocrisy in that statement for not allowing Israel to respond, yet not condemning Iran for hitting Israel in the first place. It's almost like Iran is starting the threat of a regional war by striking Israel unprovoked, really. I mean, you could say, and Iran is saying this, but you could say that it's true or fair for Iran to strike back after the death of their general in Damascus from an Israeli airstrike. Yeah, that may be true if that general wasn't a key part of orchestrating October 7th. So that was Israel defending itself from somebody who has shown that they're a threat to Israel and their safety by orchestrating, such an attack like October 7th. Israel cannot let him continue to be alive, period. If they had a chance to take him out, they were smart to do so. So really, it was unprovoked because that was Israel had a right to do that, defending itself against someone who helped launch an attack against its own people and taking people hostage, raping women, killing babies. October 7th, the worst attack in Israeli history. Yeah, they had a right to do that. So this was an unprovoked attack from Iran on Israel. Reports are that the U.S. and Israel have come to an agreement to allow a major operation into Rafah while not having a retaliatory strike to Iran. Not sure how true that is, but that report did come out today. That is crazy. Why does Israel have to get permission from the United States for its military objectives? It's so crazy for the United States to be like, all right, we'll let you go into Rafah if you just don't promise to, attack Iran. Going into Rafah is a necessary military operation for Israel to defeat Hamas. This is not like a negotiable thing. Israel has to do this. That is the final checkpoint to get rid of Hamas. This is not this is not something to negotiate, especially with an ally of yours you claim for them to be. I don't understand. If you claim for Israel to be an ally, you support them. And these are not crazy things that Israel is wanting to do. They're not wanting to, conduct unprovoked bombing runs in Iran. These aren't irrational things that Israel wants to do. This is a military objective that Israel has to do. The last one, may I add, to defeat Hamas, to go into Rafah. And obviously, whatever's left of Hamas has fled to Rafah and has established a stronghold there. So really, you get rid of Rafah and Hamas is pretty much all but finished. Why are you gonna pull back the reins now? The answer is political reasons, and Biden's losing the young anti-Semitic vote. We all know this with the protests everywhere he goes, it seems now. There's, ceasefire protests calling for the end of genocide, claiming that Biden is complicit in genocide. So Israel is going to do all the work to get rid of Hamas and get rid of that threat on its border, and then they get to the last objective to finish the job, and you're not going to let them. And then when Iran launches an attack, it's like, okay, fine, we'll let you, but don't strike back to Iran. Holy weakness. The United States, this Biden administration they are reeking of weakness. And all of our enemies smell it globally. If the United States is not going to do its job to destabilize Iran, but yet they're not going to allow Israel to do what they need to do to defend itself from Iran, that's extremely hypocritical, dangerous for your own ally. It's like, I'm not going to do what I need to do to destabilize your enemy. And you may say, oh, well, why is it our responsibility to destabilize Iran? Because they're an enemy of ours too. They're in their own parliament hearings and sessions. They say death to Israel and then death to the United States. They call the United States the big Satan and Israel the little Satan. So this is not like we're doing Israel's job for them. No. This is an enemy of ours as well. They just happen to be in the region of Israel and are an enemy of them too. So this is not us, doing Israel's work for them. Iran is our enemy as well. So if we're not going to do our job to destabilize Iran for not only Israel's safety, but for ours, and then when they finally when Israel gets hurt by this, I mean, they did on October 7th, but that wasn't Iran directly. When Iran directly strikes Israel as a cause of us not able to destabilize Iran and showing weakness to Iran and scared of them and enabling them to where they're able to launch attacks like that. But then we're going to tell Israel that they can't respond. The weakness, we're just transferring our weakness to Israel. And all that does is enable Iran more, because now that they see that, Israel's not going to do anything to deter Iran, they're just going to keep launching more attacks. We're sending Iran the wrong message, and we've been doing it ever since Biden came into office, truthfully. I can name several occasions of us giving Iran the wrong message and enabling them. But the amount of sanctions that the Biden administration lifted from Iran that Trump had in place that was working and let Iran grow tremendously, almost $2 billion of growth for Iran since Biden came into office. Trump had Iran on its last leg and, barely getting by. And Biden comes in and tries to appease Iran. And it's not just Biden. Obama had this same foreign policy, showing weakness to Iran, thinking that appeasing them and giving them what they want will, get peace in the region. It's the same. It's like a parent with a kid that's whining and whining because they want ice cream or something, and you think that they'll shut up if you just give them ice cream. That enables the kid to, now if I just cry and whine, I can get what I want. Instead of disciplining them and saying no and being strong with them, that's exactly how we're treating Iran. It's like we think if we just give Iran what they want, then they'll stop being mean and, instead of showing them strength in the first place, it's like Iran, we're treating Iran like a global superpower. They're not. And we had them pretty much on their last leg when Trump was in office financially to where they couldn't do stuff like this. And they were scared of us. And I've set examples of this, contrasting examples from when Trump was in office versus when Biden was in office in past episodes. But like when we killed Soleimani, and rightfully so, and then they launched like a for show attack for its own people, launched 6 missiles that were not intended to hit at all. Like that's Iran being scared of us, and that's us showing strength to Iran. And if you don't show strength to Iran, people get hurt and our allies get hurt. Millions of people in the Middle East are in danger when Iran is enabled and not destabilized. So that's, Biden's own weakness gets people hurt. And that's what we're seeing right now. Biden's own weakness and his fear of Iran, and not just Biden, the Biden administration. We know that they're the real ones making these decisions and making these moves. But that's what happens. When you enable a terror state like Iran and let them grow like the Biden administration has, attacks like this happen. And what's our response? We want Israel to be weak in response. Israel, just don't start a regional war, please. How about Iran not start a regional war? The genie's out of the bottle here. Iran has launched an attack. They have to be deterred. There has to be a precedent set. And right now, the United States is begging Israel not to set that precedent because we're terrified of Iran. The weakness being shown to them from Israel not responding will not deter, but will enable Iran to launch even more attacks like this. This was not only unprecedented in the sense of, Iran, this is the first time Iran has directly launched an attack on Israel, not via its proxies. So not only that is it unprecedented in that way, but it was unprecedented, and there was hundreds of drones and missiles. Iran shouldn't even have the ability to launch an attack like that. But thanks to Biden's weakness towards them and letting them grow economically, they can build up their military weapons to where they can launch attacks like that. Now, 99% of them were shot down, thank God, thanks to, Israel's defense systems, along with Saudi Arabia and the United States and Jordan shooting down these weapons, these missiles that were shot at Israel. But the point is, that shows Iran is growing militarily, that they can launch attacks like that, and that they're not scared of the West anymore. That's very clear. Iran does not fear us. We fear them. The United States fears Iran. So weakness, I said this before on here, weakness gets people hurt, and weak men create hard times, and that's what we're seeing. The Biden administration is incredibly weak towards Iran, but not only Iran, pretty much everybody around the world, and their foreign policy is give them what they want, and hopefully they'll shut up and stop being mean. They'll stop being mean if we just give them what they want. That's not how they work. That's not how a terrorist state like Iran works. They respond to strength, not weakness. And we're showing nothing but weakness. And now we're wanting Israel to join us in showing weakness. They're the ones in the actual region. They're the ones that are a threat of being attacked. We have to allow Israel to show strength. And, the whole negotiation of, well, we'll let you go into Rafah if you don't hit back. Hitting back and going into Rafah are two things that need to happen. They're not negotiable. And the United States doesn't have a right to negotiate with Israel on its own military objectives to protect itself. We claim for them to be an ally, but yet we're inhibiting them from protecting themselves and doing the necessary actions to protect themselves. So we'll see. Like I said, Israel is not only facing pressure from the United States not to hit back, but pretty much everybody around the world is not wanting Israel to hit back and fears of starting a regional war. How about you show that? How about you give Iran that message and not Israel? The genie's out of the bottle. Iran has already started or has started the possibility of a regional war breaking out. Israel now has to deter Iran so that they will stop doing this. If nobody else will, Israel's going to have to. So we'll see if Israel does strike back. I do think they will. There's been reports that they're waiting until after Passover. I think that's a possibility, but Passover is the 20th or something. I should have double checked that. But I believe that's a possibility. So we'll see. I hope they strike back, and I hope they set a deterrence and set a precedent. Because like I said, if the United States is not going to do it, Israel is going to have to do it to protect itself.